Hey, everybody, welcome back to the Salt Street Podcast, the most pro-America, anti-government show you know. The show where we discuss news, government, and culture and how it pertains to you, the individual, and your natural rights of life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. I am, of course, that big bird-looking fellow they call Colin, and I am, of course, joined, as always, by my co-host, brother-in-arms, the Nero of Neoprene, the original Salt of the Street himself, Donovan Phillips. How are you today?
I'm excellent, sir. Thank you very much for joining me.
I like this classy-ass pose you struck
thank
as I
you.
was, like, building you up. You're
Thank
like,
you.
yes, I am just like Nero, aren't
Usually I'm doing something else, and this time I wasn't, so I just was sitting and listening, you know?
So time and date, baby. What are we doing?
Yes, today is July 1st, 2023. It is 12:11 p.m. This is episode 151, Salt of the Streets podcast.
Fantastic. I made a sign. I changed it. I
There it
changed the
is.
number.
There we
Sometimes
go.
I forget, but I didn't last night.
No, we got it.
And we got a lot of stuff to talk about today.
It's going to be a great show.
There's
yeah.
no end of the shenanigans and chicanery going on in the world these days.
Yes.
So we're going to get all up into it. But before we do, without too many spoilers, what are we going to be talking about today?
Yeah, for part one, I have quite a few local stories.
Got some
That
governor news.
Yeah,
Got some governor
that I'll-
news.
I'll tell you. Well, you have to tell me about that.
I will.
And then in part two, we have we're talking about Hunter Biden.
Oh, yeah.
His whistleblower stuff. We're talking about the plea agreement that he made with the Department of Justice, or with whatever. We'll get there, because technically it's in.
It's all DOJ,
Yeah,
I think.
it doesn't matter. So,
It's all just Big Daddy Uniparty anyway. So.
yes, yeah. Here, let me pull up my notes really quick, so I'm not just trying to think off the top of my head. And then we have.
SCOTUS.
So yeah, some Supreme Court decisions, a couple of different ones that happened just over the last few days that we're going to discuss for part three. We're going to be talking mostly about the Wagner Group in Russia and kind of the whole thing that happened there. I have a lot of questions and talking points and stuff that we can go over. And then aside to that, the Ukrainian elections, that's kind of an ending point for us. And then the French protests. And of course, in part four, we got the grab bag going.
Oh,
So yeah, before
it's
we
gonna
go,
be a great grab
before we
bag.
go any further, I have to tell you guys, this show is executively produced by Zeke Gata. And yes, every piece, every episode from here on out, Zeke Gata. And of course, I want to remind you to do everything that you can to evaluate and separate yourself from the Communist Party.
The Chinese Communist Party in particular.
Yes, evaluate and adjust your relationship with the CCP.
So close. It was so close.
Yeah, I was looking at other stuff. I have it at the top so that I don't forget to do it, and I was looking at other stuff. I have a small story that I want to share, and then we got to talk about the breaking point stuff.
We gotta
before
talk
we
about
go
the breaking
into it,
points.
because it's too good.
All the BP Sims were out hard in the comments.
So Jordan's cousin Michael Barker was in town.
Michael Barker. I
yes.
love Michael Barker.
Yes, he was in town for a while, and he left yesterday. So on Thursday, when I left work, I'll show you the video when I'm done.
Nice.
Michael Barker decided that he wanted to try his hand at stand-up and also play a song. So he found an open mic in Gig Harbor that I went and I surprised him at.
Oh, no.
And yeah, and so he did one joke and it was fine, and then he got scared to do the other joke, so he did it in Spanish, and then he sang a song, which was great. And when I was there, this is a very small story, but it's a moral thing, right? So when I
like
was
it.
there, I was sitting next to a man at the table next to me, and he dropped $10 out of his pocket, right? $10 cash. And I noticed it as I was doing whatever on my phone waiting for Michael Barker. So I picked up the cash and I handed it to him. Hey, you dropped this $10. And he was like, oh my God, thank you so much for your honesty and your integrity and blah, 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 blah. He was like, do you need a beer? And I was like, always I need a beer.
Always.
Yeah, always I need a beer. Thank you very much. I really appreciate that. And he was like, of course, integrity should be rewarded. So it's super small, right? It's a very small story. And it isn't like, do this because you'll get free beers. But it's because I think that that's great. And that's something that we try and live out and embody on this show. And it just goes to show you that if you live your life in this integral manner, right? Small shit happens. It's worth it. Like, it comes out on the back end, because I vividly remember a time in which I would have put that $10 in my pocket and not given a second thought. I'm like,
Oh, yeah.
I don't live in Gig Harbor. I'll never see this guy again. So it doesn't matter. And even if he notices, someone else notices, I'll never come here again. So it doesn't matter, you know?
That's right.
But I didn't. So
Live your life as if, we used to say, like, your mom was looking over your shoulder all the
yeah,
time. It's a good way to do it. That's how you build karma. That's
Yes.
what I think colloquially karma would be. Do good shit, good shit'll happen.
That's what I told Michael when the guy brought me the other beer, and he said, "What's with that?" And I said, "Though this is instant karma, is what this is." I said, that's precisely what
It's like,
this
do you
beer
not
is.
know me,
Yeah.
Michael Barker? I'm just a big deal around here.
Yes, and Michael Barker loved that. He was just thrilled that I gave this guy
Yes.
back. He was like, "That's really great that you did that."
Was he an older gentleman?
Yeah, he was probably in his late 50s.
There you go. He
Yeah,
appreciates, you
easily
know.
could have been my dad.
I like it. And yeah, never mind. I'm not going to say that.
Yeah.
I was thinking, and maybe he was. You don't really know, but you do know.
And I'm a slightly grungy enough looking individual that I think he probably was like, this guy could have taken my $10. You know what I'm saying? Like he might have done it, but he didn't do it.
So there's a little shade built in there, you know?
Yeah. Well, I was in
You
Gig
look a little
Harbor,
shady.
so
you definitely
know,
don't belong down there.
all of the shit in this coffee house was gluten-free and vegan, other than like the beers, you know, like it was all super hoity-toity and very yeah, one of the guys that did a song, it totally relates to my Let Me Ask You This. It just was very, everyone got to play 2 songs, right? So this guy was wearing a kilt, and his name was like Nick with the Kilt or something like that. That's like his title. That's how he's known there. So this is the thing he does all the time,
The
right?
stage name.
And he had a haircut kind of like you used to have that was like longer in the middle and shaved on the sides. And he had
okay.
like a very defined beard that was going on, a very calculated like image that he had going on.
Yeah,
you know?
either like it's a coin toss. You're either a white supremacist or you're trying to model some GQ stuff.
Yes. And so it was very calculated. And then the music that it was very good. He was very, very good. So I can't really like shit on him first. He was very good.
Like played guitar and stuff?
Yes, he
Yeah.
played guitar, and he sang the first one. He just played guitar, and it was just very, like very fancy, just
look at
super. You know what I'm saying?
Just
So,
real fancy stuff.
so as I was watching
Fancy
him,
fingers.
I came up with my Let Me Ask You This because I didn't have one for this weekend. So,
Okay, so hit the button.
yes. With that, let me ask you this. Okay, so I was watching this guy, and I'm thinking about what he thinks about when he plays guitar, like when he's at his house, you know, because he just, you have to play for a long time to get that good. It was very skilled. It was very, it was very intricate. So do you think that, so there's 2 parts to this question. We'll start with the skill part and the other part. Do you think that everybody who has a skill like that wants to be the best at that skill? Like that they're always striving for that, even if it's subconscious, they don't really think that they're striving for that, but they're always trying to be the best? Or do you think that people are cool with wherever they're at?
From my knowledge of musicians, and I used to, you know, I was in band forever. I played drums forever and all that stuff. My understanding is essentially you don't necessarily want to strive to be the best all the time. Some people obviously do. It's like some people, they just always want to be famous or something like that. Or I'm just going to use this right up. Most musicians that I found like to be, it's kind of like the economic thing we talked about last week. It's they want to be as good as they want to be. They want to be able to play the stuff they like, feel free to express their artistic endeavors or whatever it is. You know, if they really like this particular song and they want to do covers of it or something like that, they'll build up to at least that kind of skill level. But when you're playing musical instruments, there's like you unlock different tiers of skills, right?
Yeah.
And at certain points you just unlock something new and you're like, well, then I can have a whole new like realm of fun with this and fuck around with it and maybe make new songs or blah 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 blah. But I would say the underlying, like, I want to be the best guitarist of all time and I'm going to start playing guitar, doing that, I think that's probably very few people.
Yeah.
I think a lot of it's just like, I just want to have fun. I want to learn how to play this thing, and then I can fuck around with my friends. I can just have a good time, because it is kind of therapeutic to just sit there and fucking play around on whatever kind of instrument you're doodling with. So that would be my guess.
Yeah.
But who knows, really?
So I'm not really musical at all, you know. That just isn't where my creativity expresses itself. And so as I watched all these people play, they're all of varying skill levels and ages and stuff like that, and I was thinking, like, do all these people want to be in a band? Do they all, like, at this one point in time, are they like, what's the you know, I don't know, it just isn't. So because I don't do it, it's like very foreign to me. So
yeah, a lot of it is like any kind of art, like you make it for you, but at the end of the day you want to be able to present it to the world and have people enjoy it.
yeah.
And if people are enjoying your music, you're having the best day of your fucking life. Right then, right there, for that 2 to 5 minute set of 2 songs, whatever. If people are vibing out with your music and having a good time, you're having the best night of your life at that point. And then it's over, and then everybody gets depressed, and then we all resort to heroin, and then you go down this spiral of misery. and because that's like the creative world. That's
Right.
why artists are so fucking dark half the time. But
Right.
no, that's what I think if you're doing your thing and whatever kind of crowd you're presenting to is enjoying it, then you're killing it, you're nailing it, you're exactly where you want to be,
Yeah.
regardless of skill level. I went to my first open mic session over at the brewery on Mondays. Usually I miss them because of soccer. I was like, I'm gonna go check this out, and it was like 3 people I think signed up over the whole night, and they just get up there, they play guitar, they sing, and every single one of them was like really fucking good.
Yeah.
And there's only maybe a dozen people in there to enjoy it, but fuck if we didn't all like clap and hoot and holler after each one of them, because you could tell they're up there kind of vibing out. And then if you're gonna like pay attention, listen to it, you're just like, oh, this is, you can tell when like a musician is really in the zone and like putting out they're kind of, I don't even really know what to call it, but yeah, they're in the zone and they're kind of focused and they're just performing, they're firing on all cylinders and having a good time. And that's
The flow state.
the flow state. Yeah,
Yeah.
they're in the flow state, and you're receiving something from that too. So I think that's really what it is.
So after I was thinking about that, I was thinking about that expanded over into just general life. Do you think that people are always striving for, do you think people are not always striving because people get complacent? Do you think people always want more, or they reach a point in their life of like contentness, you know?
Oh, for sure. It's going to be a very broad Stokes general answer, but
Yeah.
like a lot of people, in my experience, a lot of people get pretty, I don't know if complacent is the right word, but they kind of find where they're comfortable and they'll just hang out there. And sometimes they reach a level of comfortability at like 25, and this is where they're going to be at in life, and everything's fine. Their bills are paid. They got a place to live. They got a job. They can do what they want to for fun. And then they're just going to roll like that the rest of their lives, more or less. Some people have an issue with always wanting to do more, to do bigger, better things all the time. And that can
Yeah.
fuck up your life too, because then you can leave a good thing behind and not realize what happened and fuck things up. And some people 100% are like diehards, always going to go hard, always trying to do bigger, better things, and they're going to be successful at that. Not everybody that has that attitude gets to achieve that, but it's definitely a path worth walking. I think that's real good. And I think age is also a big factor in it too. You can kind of struggle and do what you can, climb the ladders that you can climb and all that through your whole life. And then you, whatever point in your life that you reach where like, I'm cool now, like I'm settled. Maybe it's a maturity thing with how old you get, and you're just, I'm like, I'm happy with where I'm at. You can realize that I'm going to try to work in a portion of let me ask you this here. The meaning they're getting from their life is exactly where they want it to be, and they just chill from there. That's what I would think anyways. But there's definitely a lot of go-getters out there that are just never going to be satisfied being anywhere,
Yeah.
which itself can be problematic.
I don't like feeling complacent, you know? If I don't feel like I'm moving forward or making progress in some aspect of my life, then I feel like I just get uncomfortable. You
Yeah.
know, I start to get very depressed. Like I'm
Get in the
something's
rut.
missing. Yeah. And sometimes it takes me time to figure out what that thing is, you know? So I told Jordan yesterday, peek behind the curtain, BTS for everybody, behind the scenes.
Oh, word. I was like, what does that mean?
I was thinking about the book club. I was thinking about writing because I was doing my article and stuff like that. And I really want to try and write more because there's several projects that I have in mind and things that I want to work on. There's fiction stories that I want to write. There's nonfiction stories that I want to write. And so next year, I'm gonna evaluate in December what my schedule is like because it's gonna change a lot after Jordan gets all her stuff going. And I want to see about maybe putting the book club on a pause next year to get more writing in. And I will incorporate that in the show somehow, whether I'm like putting out pieces of it, you know, or whatever the deal is.
And it could be like a Patreon safe space too. Like
Yeah.
if that's where, you know.
I'm finding myself really, really, really craving writing more, and I just don't have a ton of time for it.
Yeah, it's
So,
definitely a lengthy endeavor.
yeah.
You know, it takes all of your focus too at the same time. So it's
Right.
like you kind of got to shut the world out and go that way.
Yeah, because you and I got a thing, and then I got another thing, and then I just in the last few weeks, I've been thinking about other, like I said, like nonfiction stories and stuff that I'd like to write, that I think would be a ton of fun.
I'm into it. I fucking enjoy your writing, so I'm fucking down for it.
Yeah,
And I think more or less people will be into it.
and I would love to. I was talking to Paul when I made that video with him, Paul and BG, which you guys can see on Swell Blended Instagram. We can even watch it on here, but. Oh, I was talking to Paul about stuff that I wanted to film, and I was like, yeah, I've been like playing with this book, and part of it I see as a movie for sure, like this last kind of chase scene, like I really, really see as there it is.
Nice. I mean, I haven't seen this.
You haven't watched the whole thing? You've
No,
only,
I've only seen the
when I
thing.
watched it first, I was crying. I was laughing so hard.
I'm into it.
Yeah, and so I think Paul might be a good person for that as well, to film, that kind of last chase scene that I have in my mind.
Oh, yeah.
I think
the one we've talked about before with the overpass.
I think he would have a ton of fun doing that.
Does Paul himself do a bunch of like actual filming and stuff?
He's just started to kind of do that, but he's the one that filmed this and has filmed
Nice.
the last like couple of videos that him and Brandon have done. That he's been filming all this, so.
Yeah, because Brandon, I know, does a bunch of stuff himself lately.
Dude.
All these crazy shorts, man.
I don't even know what he's doing.
I don't think he knows what he's
there
doing,
was
but
a
he's having a
woman-
lot of fun.
There was a woman who works as a tax accountant in the building next door, or like in the door next to the barbershop, right? So when we were there, as I'm bringing in all my fucking guns and shit like that, there's a cop that pulls up, and I'm like, fuck. Somebody saw me bring these in, and they're now like, they're scared. It's
gonna happen.
But the woman who works at the tax accounting place accidentally hit the silent alarm, and so her boss showed up and the cops showed up, and everyone was whatever, and then they left and it was fine. But then she stood outside and fucking talked to all the boys for like almost 20 minutes.
Whoa.
And Brandon has his phone on in his pocket, recording her the whole time, and it's not like. She wasn't talking about anything interesting. Like, she was talking about how her husband is sick,
yeah.
and so she had to get the shots, and this, like, all like just regular stuff.
It's like, bro, there might be content here.
He's like, that's Twitter content. I'm like, what do you mean that's Twitter content? Like, what are you doing? What are you making? I don't understand anything but I'm into
It's
it.
just
Like,
natural, baby. It's just natural.
he's crazy to be around. Is there's just so much. Like, he's always thinking about something else. The script they made, he got in, didn't have a script made. Neither of them had a script. And so Brandon's like, I'll fire one off. He's like, I'll get ChatGPT to make one. And I was like, what? He said, yeah. He said, we've done it before. And I said, what are you talking about? And he said, yeah, we'll put it in there like what we want, and we'll use like that premise, and then we'll kind of go off of that. So that's what he did. Is he put it into ChatGPT, and then they changed the lines around, and then we shot it.
I almost did that for our joke today.
That's what
that
happened.
desperate.
That's what happened. So
That's awesome.
So they're making some cool stuff. So that's also the sponsor for this segment as Well Blended. So
Beautiful.
Yeah, before we do this, we can hit all the other socials. Obviously, you're watching us here on YouTube, youtube.com/Salt of the Streets. Thank you, everyone, for joining us here. Patreon.com/Salt of the Streets. We got another patron. Thank you, everybody, for joining us, for helping us, for supporting us. It is you that helps us make more, better content just like this, that helps us quit our jobs one day and only do this and continue to make excellent content. Thank you to all the haters out there. We're going to talk about you guys in just a few minutes.
The haters
because
are coming, baby.
You guys are delicious, and the fact that you hate this show makes me know that it's good.
Yeah. I don't want
So-
a bunch of corporate media shills
Yes.
trying to boost us up. No. If we're not your enemy, I don't know what we're doing here.
I got to start posting these comments on our stories, on our Instagram story.
Ooh.
That's delicious.
That would be fantastic.
Yeah, so of course, thank you. You can find us on our own personal social media. I'm at Salt of the Street on Twitter and at Alpaca_Donovan on Instagram, and Colin is at Big Bird Offie on both of those. Thanks.
Over there.
With that, let's watch this little video, and
Let's
then
do it.
we can. You have a let me ask you this, and then we'll
Yes.
go into the breaking points
go.
the comments.
Oh, there we go.
Hold on. Hey, the money's in the bag, right?
Where the fuck else would it be?
You see it.
Good trigger discipline, bro.
I was also the safety coordinator on this shoot, so
Shots are right in the dick, bro. No amount of armor will cover that up. 1 year later. "2019." I wonder where the date came up. I like that.
What's up, bro? Have a seat.
Just carries the bag with him for a whole year. Good thing you brought your bag too. You gotta get that fresh trim. Oh shit.
Oh, well. I thought I wouldn't find you.
What the fuck?
Bro. Oh, I missed the beginning part of that. So it took place in Canada.
Yeah. In
Oh.
2017, which is funny because then he says it's 1 year later and it's,
And it's
2019.
Well, you know, a year-ish.
Yeah.
That's fucking
I don't know what
great,
they're
dude.
doing over there. I have no idea. I've had multiple people ask me, like, what are they, I don't know. I have no idea. He asked me to show up. I told him that I would do it. I said the things that he asked me to say, and then I left. I
I
didn't ask any questions.
I didn't see any bad acting in that at all, by the way. Y'all were very convincing.
Trenton, when he was here. I'm telling you, I was crying. I was laughing so hard. When Trenton was here, he got his haircut, and Paul told him that they're making a movie. But I have no idea.
It's Heat 3. That's what we got
It's
going
something.
on right now.
I know.
The beginnings of Heat
Yeah.
3.
It was a lot of fun. So
I'm a huge fan.
just wait for more of those.
Okay.
Yeah,
That
what
was
do you-
fantastic.
What do you got?
So this let me ask, this comes directly from Joseph. We were talking about like people being in various cults and whatnot, you know. I mean,
Okay.
like, there's the whole concept of, you know, if you adhere to this particular ideology, especially the super woke progressive thing, it's like you're in a cult, blah blah blah.
I
But
thought you meant like a real cult. And then I
Oh,
was like,
yeah, yeah.
What the fuck did you talk about yesterday, bro?
yeah, we got into deep. But he asked, are you, if you're somebody that's not necessarily adhering to the doctrine, right? If you're not doing that, but you're being paid by the cult to say the things that the cult wants you to say, does that by de facto make you like a cult member at that point? So think mainstream media people, that kind of stuff, breaking points. I said I had to think about this one. And my initial answer, because I had to think about it, was that while you may or may not be in the cult, you're definitely, it's kind of like a banality of evil type of thing.
You're cult adjacent.
You're,
for sure.
Yeah, you're definitely a part of the problem.
Yeah.
You may not be in the cult, but you're supporting the cult and hence
Right.
should be treated as if you were a cult member, more or less. If anything, you might even be worse because you're kind of just like an assassin for hire who's willing to just be a whore for money and just say the talking points that you're supposed to say because you're
Yeah.
popular.
You're the person that's like, it's not, I don't write the rules, I just have to follow them. You
Yeah.
know, that's the it's that type of fucking the good German type of stuff. You know,
good
that's
German.
Like, I don't know. This is just what we were doing. I don't know.
That's a movie, right? The Good German.
I don't know.
Pretty sure. Either way.
You've seen more movies than I have.
Yeah, but all the movies I like are terrible, according to people like you.
Just all the ones you say are really good.
Hey. I'm going to take the W from the man that shot Hitler and then Bigfoot.
That was good, though.
Because
Yeah.
upon second viewing, it's a way better movie.
That was fire. I rewatched Interstellar last week, and that was
That's a
good too.
great movie,
That
too.
one holds up for sure.
Yeah. And I
Super
watched
good.
that semi-recently at work, and it was like, fuck, I forgot how good this shit
So
is. Don't go near black holes. That's the whole moral of the story. You
That
just
was-
start fucking shit up left and
Yeah.
right. It's just not good. Next
I've-
thing you know, your daughter's 95,000 years old, and you're over there, still a middle-aged man, going, well, I guess I'm just going to check out now since you got the rest of your family here, and I've
Yeah.
just left you alone your whole life, so peace out.
I paid more attention this time to like the fine details and stuff. You know? So I got more like the kind of the science aspect and shit.
Oh, yeah.
And like the
Time dilation.
yeah, I obviously understand, but I was just kind of just watching the movie. You know, I was just getting the entertainment value. The other times that I've watched it,
Well, there's a lot to take
Yeah.
in, too.
but this time because I was at work and I was just listening because I'm at work. You know, I'm only watching like maybe half of it.
Yeah. You pick up different things.
Right.
For sure. I've
Right.
noticed that.
Yeah, so the time thing, I was thinking about more that type of stuff. It's like that's super fucked up.
I love it.
That's super fucked up. Them being on a planet, and because of I don't know shit about science, so just the thought of I don't know. Space is fucked up. Space is really, it's not good. People shouldn't be doing stuff like that. I know it's not, it's like being at the bottom of the ocean. You shouldn't be doing that. Yeah, you're going somewhere where things are manipulating time in a way that you don't understand. You shouldn't be there. I don't,
Yeah, unfortunately, time is not determined by a clock.
Right.
It's just kind of how we track our version of it here. But yeah, it's super weird.
Yes. They
Stephen
go-
Hawking type shit, time gets funky when you get
Yes.
close to, the singularities and whatnot.
the water planet, and they're like, this woman probably only died like just a few minutes ago. Like, that's
Yeah.
fucked up. But
And then they
that's-
go back up to the fucking ship, and homie's been there for like decades.
It's like 20 years, something like that. It's horrible.
Bro, he's like, yeah, I slept for a while, and then I was just like, well, I guess everybody's dead, so I'm just gonna hang out here. Fuck, bro.
The robots too. The robots were funny. Like I enjoyed,
Robots are funny.
yeah, kind of that aspect of it, the TARS and stuff like that. But it's good. Yeah,
Interesting.
I like that.
There's a Mariners game tomorrow that I just got invited to.
There you go.
Can I get kicked out of that stadium? I'm sure we didn't play that game.
See how
No.
many you can check off the list. You only got kicked out just for that day, right? Like you can go.
Yeah,
back.
I can go back.
That's nice.
I mean, nobody told me I wasn't allowed back, but it
Well,
was just not tonight.
yeah.
Just go away. I was like, okay,
But I
that's
think
fine.
we can assume that you're good.
But before we get, because this is kind of a heavier question, so just want to get a couple things out of the way first. Happy 4th of July, everybody! I'm wearing some America gear over
There you
here,
go.
some red, white, and blue stuff. 4th of July will be on Tuesday, so you'll be getting this if you're not watching it live. You'll start getting the podcast out on Monday and everything else. So happy 4th of July, America's birthday.
Yeah. It's patriotic too. This is from Kevin's deployment.
That's right, bro. You're basically, what do you call those people? Veteran of foreign wars. Is that not? Or
VA.
no? No, it's the Operation Iraqi Freedom or something like that. There's like a whole acronym you used last time.
GWAT.
GWAT. Global War on Terror. There
Yeah.
it is. Yeah, you're a GWAT guy now.
That's hilarious.
I mean, we know the teams wanted you.
Keep
at one
ISIS
point,
out of
so-
Iraq. Oh, I'm not going to say they want. I wanted the teams. They did not want me. That's let's not take this too far.
Let's not go that
I don't need
far.
any false valor going on here.
Oh.
We got roasted enough this week. I don't need anybody coming here. And this guy's claiming false valor. He's fucking wearing ISIS t-shirts. Last thing I need. Kevin never watches the show. He hears about it at work. He's like,
yeah.
so what's this about fucking false valor? Like, what's the fuck?
what-
That's not even what happened. It's not-
That's not even.
No.
It's not even really what happened.
No.
Okay, so my version. Let me ask you this: is
You got another one. Oh, that one was just from
that was just
Oh,
Joseph.
okay,
Yeah,
let's
yeah.
go.
No, this is the real existential one.
Oh Christ. Okay.
Been doing a lot of. This is weird. So I just want you to go with wherever your mind goes on this.
Okay.
Because there's definitely no answer, or everybody's going to have different answers. But I've been doing a lot of thinking about meaning.
Okay.
Meaning of what does it mean to live a good life, or how do you find meaning in life, and then the extension of that, what is the meaning of life itself, blah 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 blah. And I obviously have begun to kind of like try to pull various values, morals, ethics, and stuff like that to help try to see if those on the whole kind of like resemble some form of meaning, some greater meaning, something like that. But every time I start to go down that path, everything just seems too big picture, and all the fine, the small things in life don't seem to be taken into account there. And I think there's a whole lot to be said about all the little things in life. Rule 32 from Zombieland, gotta appreciate the small things, right? So how much contemplating do you give meaning, your meaning of life? How do you find meaning in your life? And don't just say kids unless that really makes sense, because I feel like that's definitely something that a lot of people say. So I didn't really understand what my life was about until I had my kids, and then all of a sudden I had purpose and true meaning in life, which might be a thing. But
No, I
where does
think-
your mind go
Yeah, I think
when
that's-
you're talking about that?
I think the kid thing is bullshit. I love my children, and
Mm-hmm.
they're obviously like a part of what I'm doing. But that's a thing you do. That's a thing that people do. You're made. Everybody is supposed to procreate. Like on a biological level. You
Hot
choose to,
take,
that's
bro.
fine. Yeah, we live in a time where you can choose to or not choose to, but everybody is supposed to. That's why you're coming. That's the whole point. Like
That's why you're coming to the party,
yeah,
right? There you
that's
go.
the whole point.
COME.
Right. It's not just for fun. Like it is fun as an incentive for you to do it, you know?
Indeed.
So I think about it a ton, and it's part of my let me ask you this is based on that. I'm watching those people,
seemed
you
like
know what I'm
it.
saying? Yeah. And so it kind of my questions were kind of bullshit, and I'm gonna make that apparent with my answer because everybody's is different. You know, as
Yeah.
far as what your meaning is, it's
That's a you problem.
defined. It's defined by every individual being, and like I said, that's why my question is bullshit about. Like, well, do people want more? Because some people do, some people don't. You know, and
Yeah.
some people find out what their meaning is, and if they do, I think that's what's causes you to strive for more. If you know, like, this is the thing that I'm meant to be doing and I need to live this out to its fullest extent, then that a lot of times is what keeps people driving. And it can also be societally based because of the time that we live in. A lot of people are money driven and stuff like that, that
yeah.
maybe drives to a deeper thing that they really want, but maybe it's distorted by the time that we live in or the culture or the whatever. But I think about it a ton, especially when I think about people whose purpose is to like be like an auto mechanic or to like Jordan, like bake things, you know what I'm saying? That I think about it a ton because drives me to the same point of the people who are making music of like, what do you want to do with that? You know, this is what your purpose is because it's incredible with that. So what is the ultimate point of that? You know,
Yeah.
and it's difficult for me to conceptualize because I don't do that. That's not the same thing with music. I don't do that. So I don't know what you're getting out of it. I don't know what you enjoy out of it. I don't know even what meaning you're pulling from this, you know?
Because how could you relate? Because what is going to give you meaning in throughout your life is not going to be the same for almost anybody else.
Yeah.
And except for maybe like your spouse or partner or whatever it is that you have, your closest intimate relationship might be able to share similar meanings, I would imagine, at that point. But
And I thought about it a lot too when I was watching all that Triple D, because there's all those people who are like, they're operating at the top of their game. Like they're on this television show, but they're making tons of money and they have people waiting hours in line because they're making the best shit around. So that's what they're supposed to be doing. And I see immense value in that, but I also can see a place where someone who makes a ton of money in some type of like hedge fund or something is like, well, what's a fucking small time shit? You know, like, what do you even get out of making food for people? What do you fucking whatever? Like, so I think about that all the time just because there's like optically varying levels of like success, you know, but the people on Triple D are just as fulfilled, if not more, than the people who are working at the hedge funds or any other place where they're seeing massive financial success. So
that's why I like Dirty Jobs a lot, because it's the same type of thing. It's like these people that are just doing their thing. The thing that they have found gives their life meaning and purpose, and then they either learn or they just happen to, just through happenstance, actually enjoy what it is they're doing. And then they get to do that forever. And yeah, they may not be able to go buy the fucking yacht that's hanging, Leonardo DiCaprio is hanging out on with his 25-year-old girlfriend of the month, but they don't need that to be happy in life, to get the true, to feel meaning and fulfillment. And so I think it's probably the same thing. Yeah. Food, I used to joke around because that was my shit for a long time. I used to joke around and say, like, everything I do turns to shit. Because when you're in the food industry, it literally does, right? But also, there's so much that comes from that. If you're just somebody that's making the fucking best burger in town and you got a line out the door, you're giving all those people satisfaction, happiness, and you're actually like giving them sustenance so they can maintain their life and stuff like that. I mean, it's a whole, there's endorphins that go off of, so it's kind of a drug in a way. And so there's, you may, Bob's Burger style, you may just live in this small town that just is slanging this small time, food stuff, but it gets you by, it pays your bills, you keep your family satisfied, you keep doing what you like doing, and the people that you do serve enjoy what you do for them.
Right.
That's meaning right there.
That's Jordan's deal, like with baking, is that she likes people being happy from something that she made.
Yeah.
And I don't.
There's satisfaction in that can't be reached otherwise.
Yeah, and I just don't
feel it.
I don't get the same deal out of it, Like I like cooking for people and stuff like that, but it's not it doesn't compare. I don't know. I like
Do you know of something that you do in life that gives you that kind of satisfaction, perhaps?
doing stuff related to the show, and that's what I'm trying to distill it down to what it is, and it might be like teaching, like it might be that I like teaching people things, or I'm not sure, because that's I get a lot of enjoyment out of that, talking to people about this type of stuff and it making sense for them and be like, oh, holy shit, like I really should get to be able to choose whatever, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like for that stuff makes me happy, for people to realize their own individual choice, because that makes me happy.
It's a big deal when all of a sudden you maybe not necessarily change somebody's mind, but open their mind up to an entire realm of thought and like life choices that they never really contemplated before was
Yeah.
like a possibility. They're always been in the rat race or whatever, and all of a sudden you're like, they have this weird awakening, like, oh, there's like personal liberty is like a huge deal, because that means like I get to I can actually do the things that that instill value to my life that way.
Yeah, but I don't know what that is,
It's ethereal is what it is.
Like what that value is, like we're talking about like the cooking, like that's happiness. You like making people happy. That's a value. You like providing joy to other people. That's that's the distilled thing that you're getting from this, is you're making people happy,
Yeah, which can be a fucking double-edged sword, let me tell you what.
Yeah.
But I think if you look at the show as more of a tool to accomplish what it is you've realized you enjoy doing, it might make more sense. Because like doing the show is a thing, but at the end of the day, it's really just a tool for us to utilize.
Right.
It's when we first started it was basically so we can hash out these ideas that we continually talked about beforehand. And it was like, well, people might enjoy listening to it, and it's obviously shifted a great deal since fucking 5 years ago. But
yeah,
I don't know.
Yeah, because I would really have to think about that to try and get it down to like, what am I getting out of this?
Yeah.
What's
it really doing for me?
Because I love writing too, and I love talking. Like I think it really comes down to I love talking. You know me outside of here too. I talk all of the time when I'm not at work. At work I keep very quiet most of the time, but outside of work, I talk all the time. It's just a constant. So,
and it's not just talking; it's engaging in conversation with people.
Yeah.
Right. Something I've learned to really enjoy, probably through the show, but now I practice it in my outside life too. And it's like talking to strangers is really fun.
Yeah.
Most of the time. And if you're a decent communicator and you know how to hold a conversation when, let's face it, the vast majority of people out there in the world these days have a hard time carrying on a conversation. So if you can continually push them past the awkward moments, and then you get into some real meat and potatoes kind of like healthy conversation, they'll realize they enjoy it too. And that's a good deal. That's a really good deal. So I don't know if you just like talking is one thing, but you like to have conversations. I think anyways.
Yeah.
Because talking is just talking. It doesn't mean you're listening. It just means that you're trying to get what's up here out of your mouth to the world or whatever it is. I mean, solo podcasts are good for that, but also you like to talk to people.
Right.
Get their perspective on things. So there's something there. But I don't want to complicate your life too much. Don't dwell too much on it.
No.
But if you do,
No.
it's been a huge, big things going on in my life over the last, 3 or 4 months have really gotten me into this point where I'm like just thinking about a lot of this type of stuff, and you know, the whole thing with it's like I don't know if providing is the right thing, but it's kind of, maybe it's a nurturing thing or whatever. But I tend to bend over backwards to help out people in my life, which can be a detriment because then I don't take care of myself as much, or the people that are even closest to me sometimes.
Right.
So that's but it's a nice thing to be able to do shit like that for people. But I don't know if that's just a byproduct of the way I was raised or how it just worked out. You know, I don't even know if I really like that much.
Right.
Because there are so many downfalls if you don't do it the right way. So meaning's a bitch, bro. It's a bitch, and it's been kind of fucking my life up for like the last just been stuck in my brain for the last few months.
I bet there's a lot of people that don't think about it, you know.
I would guarantee there's a lot of people that don't.
Yeah, those same people that kind of get complacent and stuff like that. They're like, this is just what I'm doing, you know.
Go ahead.
That's what I say right now, you know, at work. Like, I'm the job that we have now, I'm very good at that job. I'm very, very good at it. It's obvious because I'm continuing to make more money there. Like, I've worked there for a long time. I get asked to do a lot of things. So I'm obviously very good at it. It's not by any means, no matter how much our bosses want it to be. This is not my thing. Like, it's not going to be my thing. It's never going to be. It's a thing I happen to be very good at, and that's very fortunate. It's providing me everything that I need right now.
Yeah.
This will never be the thing that I am going to find my value in. I find immense value in what we're doing because we're helping a lot of people every single day.
Especially little kiddos.
This is not my thing. It's a great thing that I'm doing. It's for all of the reasons,
Yeah.
but
it's just a thing you're doing.
yes,
It's a means to an end in a manner.
yes, this is Deborah.
Hey, Deborah's here.
Deborah.
Oh, and you're Jordan.
Deborah and
Jordan's
Jordan.
giving me some props here. I got a big heart. It's because I'm a Cancer, apparently. As long as I don't have it, then we're good.
Yes, yeah, that's
I'm very proud of Deborah, by the way. This is 2 live shows she's made it to in 2 days. Very proud of you, Deborah.
you're the best, Deborah.
She was what's the right word? Oh, she was very, very happy she made it to the live stream last night.
Yeah.
She's like, I did it! I made it!
Ecstatic.
Ecstatic. There it is. There it is.
Okay, so
So now let's destroy our egos. You want to
yeah, so
destroy
I
our
want to talk
egos?
about Breaking Points really quick. Well, I want to talk about our Breaking Points clips because people were very upset.
Very
they did
upset.
very well. We got a ton of views last week, and it was great. But before we go on, we're not upset about this. Let's preface this whole segment. We're not upset about this. This is not a thing that we lose any sleep over. It's not a thing that makes us upset at all.
It didn't make me laugh.
Yeah. I laughed a ton, especially
Yeah.
the dude that I read last night. This is just, it is what it is. You know, I don't care about these people at all. I appreciate their views, and I appreciate that their comments continue to fuel the algorithm.
Yes.
You guys are obviously not here for understanding. I'm not even going to say like the truth or anything like that. You obviously don't want to talk about.
So you're not our target audience, bro.
No, especially because Breaking Points is just a thing we talk about. It's
Yes.
the same deal. It's just a thing we do. It's
Yes.
that's not what our show is about. I also loved how upset so many people were that we were reacting to another video. That's what half of YouTube is reaction videos.
Exactly.
Like, half of the fucking YouTube is reacting to other YouTube videos. I'm not going to take that as a hit that you guys are obviously unoriginal and fucking shit podcasters because you have to comment on another podcast. Yeah, no one ever does that, right?
Yeah. And
That's
also
not-
stick around for the other 7 hours that we do.
all of Jimmy Dore's clips are him watching another video and
Yes.
breaking it down.
And they're so good.
They're excellent.
They're so good.
You guys are fucking idiots. So you obviously love mainstream media, but got tired of hearing the same thing from all 3 companies. So you went to someone else, 2 people who used to work for the mainstream companies who now have a studio that looks just like corporate media and say very, very similar things to corporate media. I even looked into some of the shit that they said, right, about like Ukraine and Yevgeny, right? They were talking about how
the
head
dude?
of Wagner, yes,
Okay.
they're Wagner Group, that they were saying that, you
I
know,
practiced that name so much earlier today, and I can't pull it out.
no. They were saying that there's evidence of him hoarding ammunition when he was saying that he wasn't being resupplied. I didn't find any articles, no No data to back that up.
Me neither.
So I didn't yet. Nothing to validate that information that he, and I'm not over here fucking defending the Wagner Group, right? But I'm talking about the fact that they're reading an article from somewhere, not even providing their sources, and then providing information that it can't be can't be verified anywhere else.
Yeah.
Because they I assume that information came from an article that Russell Brand also read, because I watched this video and then pulled this article, and it's from the World Socialist website, right? So it's a great article, but they also don't provide their sources, and they say a lot of the shit that Russell Brand said because he read from the article, and then a lot of shit that Breaking Point says that I couldn't find anywhere else. So that's great.
Got to be that one article.
But I can't verify the information that you just told to your 1 million fucking subscribers, and you're super jazzed, and now you're going to dress in an Indian garb, and you're like, but it's great that we're doing this, right? So that's awesome that you love Breaking Points. You love corporate media. That's what you love. That's fine. That's not what we do here. We aren't corporate media. We aren't here to tell you the same fucking line with a fresher, prettier face and a different outfit. That's not what we're doing here. That's not what we're doing here. We're here to call out people who are giving you bullshit like that, and then on the back end, as the main focused, help you identify ways that the powers around you, the administrations around you, the bodies around you are effectively working to remove your freedoms and liberties from you, and then try and find ways to preserve them. That's what we're doing here. We aren't giving you fucking corporate lines. That's not what this is. So if that's what you want,
It's like the
all
antithesis of what we are.
we don't do
the
that
opposite.
here. So I love that you love that. I don't love that you love that. I think it's great that you love that. We don't do that here. If this is the type of shit that you have to say, keep watching Breaking Points. Thanks for the view. Thanks for your comment. Have a great fucking day. We don't do that here. We're never going to do that here. That isn't what we're about. So,
I mean, it's a pretty dead giveaway when you read the actual thumbnail, breaking down Breaking Points.
yes.
You think that means that we're going to sit here and like, tell them how awesome they are every minute of whatever bullshit they're spewing out of their mouths? No, man. That's not what I mean. I feel like it's in the title, and you kind of missed it.
You also watched a 10-minute segment of a 1-hour part that we did. So
Oh no, it was over 1 hour.
it was
definitely
over
an hour.
1 hour.
It took us over an hour to get through 12 and a half minutes.
The internet and the world is full of fucking idiots.
Amen.
And places like this, comment sections, happen to congregate them in mass. And
Yes.
so it's an interesting,
It's a nice little distillation of where they're at.
Yes, yeah. So we're gonna take a look at some of these because they're pretty fucking hilarious.
Awesome.
So this is the one that I was telling you about that is 5 paragraphs long. And look, he's an old man. John Blanderson,
yes.
if he's a real person, he's got to be if it's this long. But so he wrote a 5-paragraph comment on one of these. On part 2 of our breaking down Breaking Points thing. So we're going to read kind of as much as I want to until I get tired. But it's there if you want to read it, because it's pretty rich and hilarious. So John Blanderson 1626, because we said we're gonna call you out. Breaking Points has a large audience because they are intellectually honest. This is their, except they're not. Like I just said, I just went over how they read one article off of the internet and then spread that information without sharing their sources or finding any way to verify that, because that's what I tried to do and I couldn't do it. So isn't that interesting?
When they consistently shit on their own arguments within the same sentence.
The polling
when
thing
they're
all the
starting to do
time,
it.
all the time with the polling thing, and that's the one we did before this was about the polling, and he has no hobbies, and that's Deborah. We'll get to it. That was literally what I said to him: is you have way too much time on your hands. His responses were even better. So this is their new set that is well earned and paid for by their grassroots subscribers, not billionaires or corporations. After 2 years of building an audience that likes them because they put out great analysis, actual political debate, feature and give a voice to marginalized candidates / guests from every political point of view, highly important and marginalized news stories, and offer a wide range of opinions with a transparent basis for their arguments, which many people find refreshing. So as I just said, they don't provide a transparent basis for their arguments because, like I just talked about, they obviously, and this is just one example for everybody who's going to watch afterwards, this is just one example, but they obviously aren't, because in just one segment this week, they watched a Russell Brand video and then shared that information. No way to verify, didn't share their actual sources or anything. They just said that that's what's happening.
Well, and the whole idea that he's talking about, like in a new and refreshing way, giving those great analysis.
Yeah.
That's objectively wrong. They do not do that. They'll give you the same answers from the corporate press, the same analysis from the corporate press, just with a little bit of a different angle to it. They get to the
more
same
detail.
points.
Yeah. Tell me what was different about their take on this supposed coup in Russia than any other corporate media source. There was no fucking difference.
Nope.
There is no difference.
No.
I won't stand for it. I'm not going to hear it. It isn't different. This is the same thing with younger faces in slightly different clothing. I won't hear it. I won't stand for
I
it.
won't stand for it. Where's my pearls? I need to clutch them.
Yeah. In addition, they offer content from many different content creators that do deep dives into important social issues often overlooked or even suppressed by corporate and legacy media. They don't always agree. By that, are you talking about Kyle Kalinske?
Yeah.
Is that who you're talking about? Who provides refreshing and deep... I'm not even going to go into it.
No.
They don't always agree with each other. They do. Are fully funded by their subscribers instead of rich assholes or corporate advertisers, and are fully transparent in any conflicts of interest that arise or stories that they have gotten wrong. I mean,
Congratulations.
you're willing to admit when you know someone who's involved in something.
Yeah.
Good fucking Christ.
That's like the bare minimum of being somewhat authentic.
I'm not going to high five you for that. You're a journalist, right? That's what you're supposed to be doing. I'm not going to high five you for doing shit that corporate media doesn't do, because they're not fucking journalists. They're not real. That's entertainment television. That's why they used, who was it, CNBC or whatever producers to make the fucking Jan 6 trials, because it's not real. This is an entertainment news. That's why Fox News is able to skirt around the lies that they do, because they're entertainment. That's real. That's verifiable in court cases. None of this is real. I don't.
Yes.
It's all fake. You're wrong. You, John Blanderson 1626, you're wrong. I'm sorry to tell you, but you're wrong.
You're wrong.
Yes. I'm glad we live in a country where you can produce your content regardless of your bad takes on things, because there are about 1 million people who see this unfounded attack for what it is. You gonna give me 1 million views? I'm here for it. I'll take any shit that you have for 1 million views in the video. If that's gonna, you say whatever you want. I'll read all your comments for 1 million views in the video.
That's right.
I don't even care. Yes, a jealous attempt to get views by trying to tear something down without any actual basis in reality for your poor opinion. I guarantee over the hour and a half that we did that clip, there were some pretty good fucking takes that we had.
Oh, yeah.
Guarantee it.
Didn't like them, but
Guarantee
they were solid.
More. I see that you're making fun of their professional studio setup and comparing it to MSNBC, which is ironic because their content is the literal opposite of legacy media like MSNBC, except that it's not in the ways that we just outlined.
It's the same thing, but it's YouTube rules instead of cable TV rules.
They even have the shit at the bottom now.
The ticker.
Yes, that
They got a ticker,
misrepresents
baby.
what they're actually talking about. It's,
Yep.
it's precisely the same thing.
Yep.
They show their little bar with all the subjects for like a brief moment, and then they go to the ticker thing. So explain to me, John Blanderson, what's different about their studio and their coverage than MSNBC. Also, you know that Crystal used to work there, right? She came from MSNBC. You know that, right? You're aware of this? You know that Sagar used to work at Fox News? You know these things? I just want to make sure that you know that. So when we're talking about MSNBC, that we're both on the same page, that she literally fucking worked there and had her own show there for a short period of time until they took it away from her because she was garbage. Because her takes are fucking shit. Just so you know. I just want to make sure. More than that, it's just not a good point because it's based on an ad hominem logic fallacy and is irrelevant to the quality of their program. Can you not build an actual argument using reason, actual logic, or factual basis for why you don't think this is a good show? Yes, I just did. And we also did in this entire segment. And every time that we do the show and every time that we fucking talk about breaking points, this is what we do.
Yep.
Is this just another logic fallacy-laden echo chamber of lazy takes to create controversy and, in turn, views from random hacks who think ad hominem attacks of... This dude loves ad hominem. I think that's the 4th time that he said it. He loves it. Attacks of legitimate meta-journalism. It's so meta, dude. They're so fucking meta that they're looking at everything on a granular level. They're even identifying their own behavior and calling themselves out. Oh, wait, except they're not. They're living in a fucking echo chamber where Sagar's supposed to be conservative and doesn't ever argue with someone who says unions should control everything and we should just fucking federalize everything. Oh, this is not an echo chamber, right? No. Oh, because they're willing to have someone who fucking works for the Heritage Foundation? Oh, good Christ. They're so fucking conservative. They're so fucking conservative and counter to your points. I'm so glad that they're here. Thank God. The farthest right person on that program is Emily Jashinsky.
Yes.
This doesn't speak very much.
And she's just a libertarian. Really.
Come on, dog.
She's a big government libertarian, really.
Yes. I mean, Crystal
Which is-
essentially thinks that she's a fucking extremist. I mean,
Yes.
what are we really talking about? This show, this new beautiful studio they're talking about is an echo chamber. They've literally built a chamber for their echoes to live in. It's crazy. It's hilarious.
I
Do
also-
you see what I'm saying? The distortion of the brains, the mind worms, the breaking points mind
The
worms.
mind worms.
Yes.
It's just really interesting. Attacks on legitimate meta journalism.
Yes.
I've literally never heard of anybody talk about meta journalism before.
dude.
'Cause that's like studies of studies, right? That's like, I'm going to take these 12 studies and then do a study on those 12 studies, not based off of any of the actual details involved. So they just skip over
Yes.
all the actual details involved, and then they talk about the differences in reporting from the corporate journalists, and then decide to be like, well, here's our take on the corporate journalists, instead of actually talking about what's actually happening. Because every time they try to get down to like the finer details to get away from the actual meta version of the journalism, they go back to the same talking points of we need a living wage, we need powerful unions to protect workers, and the government just isn't doing enough.
Right.
Those,
So-
everything that they talk about, that's where they end up going. That's as far down as they go. They never get into the nitty gritty details of things.
So is meta journalism just when a journalist reads other articles and looks at them? Because if
It
that's
has
the
to be,
case,
right?
if that's the case, that's literally what we're doing here on this show. I don't have a degree. I'm telling you now, that's my part-time job. I'm a journalist. I work for Salt of the Streets. We're fucking legitimate meta journalists now. Like, what are we doing? You're making up words to try and fucking
Yeah,
shit
that's
on
not a
something
real
that you
term, bro.
watched for 10 minutes, maybe.
Meta journalism.
This is-
Good God.
I love this.
That's just called punditry, bro. And we're not even pundits necessarily. We just talk. We just have conversations about what's going on. This guy is a normie who has stumbled upon an alternative media for the first time in the form of Breaking Points.
And he's in love with it.
Yes.
He absolutely loves it. Yeah.
This is so amazing.
Yes.
I mean, I could watch this on YouTube all the time.
It's meta journalism from journalists who created an uncorrupted revenue model. They didn't create the revenue model. That's not true. The thing that they're doing, they have like a fucking Patreon. I don't like it's. They're doing the same thing Eric July has been doing for years now. They're not, and so have many millions of other people. They didn't create a revenue model.
No.
They created a revenue stream. They found a way to make money by selling their subscriptions to things. They didn't create a revenue model. That's not true.
No, it's an old revenue model. It's called the
yes.
subscription model. The New York Times and every newspaper or magazine has been doing it for literally decades upon decades.
We're doing the same thing.
It's the same shit. It's the same shit. Hey, we invented a new revenue model.
That's right. To ensure honest and transparent reporting and critical analysis of important news is a show we all need to
see? Question
Oh,
mark?
I think most of us are tired of that sentence was way too long. Listen to me. I love a good comma. If you're one of our subscribers to the articles, you'll know that. I'm a big fan of commas. Make real long. This was too much.
This is too much.
This was too much.
You need to double
Grammatically,
space that,
it's too
too.
much, sir. I especially enjoy how you're so quick to interject your preconceived attack that you don't even listen to one segment for more than 15-second introductory portion, though it is a 20-minute segment. We watched the whole thing.
Oh, yeah.
We watched the whole thing. I promise you.
And every time they say something stupid, we would pause and interject. It's not our fault that
Right.
what they said every 12 to 30 seconds was something that needed to be addressed, because either they were lying, being purposely dishonest, which I don't think is necessarily the same thing as lying,
Yeah.
or spinning something to make their own point, not based off of what they're actually talking about.
And the first thing I said, if you go back and watch it, was, "What's a Teamster?
What's a teamster?
Tell me what a Teamster is."
That's right. I don't fucking know.
Tell me, Joe,
Nobody
what
knows.
is a Teamster? That's a genuine question. Someone tell me what a team. I understand that that's a union. What is a Teamster, right? I know what an electrician is. We have an electricians union in our building. I know what that is. I know what a machinist is.
Yeah.
What's a Teamster? What does a Teamster do, John Blanderson? That's a legitimate question that I don't think Crystal Ball can answer. What the fuck is a Teamster? That isn't a thing. That doesn't exist. That's not real. I told you.
Nobody's
that's
ever had a job
No.
as a Teamster.
The reason that it's called that is because you can't make a mobsters union. I understand that's not what the... Okay, tell me that I'm wrong. Tell me I'm wrong. When Jimmy Hoffa was the head of the Teamsters, tell me that I'm wrong.
It's not.
Okay, I get that that's not... Whoa, they don't do that anymore. Okay, when the Teamsters were formed, what were they doing? Covering up organized crime. Okay, get the fuck out of my face. A Teamster isn't a thing. That's not real. People from...
But they have a horse and a wagon wheel in their logo.
That's not
they gotta
real.
be doing good
That's
shit.
not real. Mobsters made up a word, which is fine, and they were able to use corrupted government to protect themselves financially. That's not real. This isn't real. What is a Teamster is a legitimate question.
That's why, like, all the mobsters over, like, back when New York and Jersey,
Yes.
Rhode Island were popping like that. That's why they all had, like, garbage companies or fucking
Yes.
concrete companies.
Yes.
That's why, because they were
Yes.
all unionized and they all fucking ran the unions.
Get out of
That's
my face.
It's the best way to launder dirty money.
You don't know what a Teamster is. I just told you what it is, and I'm the one that asked the fucking question.
Organized labor, just another
Yes.
word for organized crime.
This is not thorough and displays the... No, this 10 minutes is not. The entire thing, the hour and a half, is very thorough.
Yes.
And displays the antithesis of analysis you claim to be making. We're breaking it down. I don't know if it's analysis. That's splitting hairs. I know it is. Maybe listen to a few of the 300-plus episodes. Oh, we have.
I've been listening to them way
you
longer than you have, good sir.
Since they were on the hill, you idiot.
my
Before
God.
deciding what you think, or I love it. Or better than that, maybe just listen through one episode before we did watch that whole episode. I watched that whole episode, and I picked that particular one out of there for us to break down. Aren't they your unionized truckers?
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah, most truckers, I believe, are Teamsters, bus drivers.
Word.
They're like all the things that don't have a specific union. They hit up the Teamsters.
I'm right. That's
What-
why
what-
the specific
yeah.
question is not what is the union doing. I
Yeah.
get it. I know what the union is. I'm asking what is a Teamster?
What is a
because
Teamster?
that isn't a thing.
I'm gonna
That's a
Google it.
Teamster isn't a thing. This is a thing that
gonna
was
Google
made
it.
up
I'm
to have
gonna
a
see what the
union that
Google
can
machine
encompass
says.
large groups of people,
What
which is
is
fine. Which is fine,
Teamster?
but we're making up words now. And that's the question I was asking. It was a cheeky question. It wasn't even meant to draw this length of comment about it. It was just a thing. Is there a thing?
There's a thing. There's a thing.
I just say her talk shit this whole time.
No. It's a thing. It doesn't exist anymore. And that's what Deborah was very right when aren't they unionized truck drivers?
Yeah.
So a Teamster, and this totally makes sense when you get all the way back down to like a Teamster is in American English is a truck driver, a person who drives teams of draft animals or a member of the International Brotherhood of Teamsters, a labor union, blah, 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 blah.
All right.
But as far as like an old school career, they were the dudes that ran teams of draft horses to haul goods from place to place to place.
take the L.
So the
It's a
only
thing.
true Teamsters are truckers.
All right, I'll take the L. It's a thing. I'll take the L.
maybe
We're doing it.
stagecoach drivers.
I'll
We
eat
could
the
give
crow.
that.
I'll take the L. A Teamster drives a team of fucking horse. Get
But
the fuck
not
out
anymore.
of my face.
Not anymore.
No.
No,
And again, it was
so
a
many.
cheeky question as to like, where the fuck is the Teamster? Anyway, the point has been made.
that's why they have a wagon wheel and a horse on their thing.
Yes,
Because they're all a
so-
bunch of coach drivers.
The perfect encapsulation of this is I went to check the views last night, right? And I was like, oh, let's see where we're at on these clips. And I read this comment and I was like, this is hilarious that this guy did this. So I responded to him and I said, you have way too much time on your hands. You can see it. That's my name. Also, if you watch the clip,
right
my
there.
name is in the corner.
It's right there.
It's there. My name is right there. So, and he in 19 hours, so he got at me like right away, like
Yeah.
almost right within the same hour. He got at me and he said, too much for what?
Too much for what?
Too much time in general. Too much time because you left a 5-paragraph comment on a fucking 10-minute video. You have too much free time. That's all. Not too much for anything. You have, in general, too much free time on your hands that you're willing to spend this much of it to say the word ad hominem 10 times and then get at me again with the same shit in the response. Because
Yeah.
he came back an hour later because I'm still living in his brain and he said, cool ad hominem attack on me and my time, by the way. You are a perfect potential viewer of the Salty Shorts brands. I said this before the show. This is my house. This is my fucking house. Don't come in here with this weak fucking bullshit. This is my house, and you are a corporate shill. This is my house. Get the fuck out of here.
And also, the Salty Shorts isn't a brand, bro.
You idiot.
It's not really a brand. It's just it's like a segment.
Look at the channel name,
I
you
mean,
dumbass.
it's the Clips channel. Come on now, bud. Oh, that's a healthy back and forth there, buddy.
Yeah, we
I
got
mean-
roasted pretty good, you know?
Oh,
We
yeah.
had some good ones. Y'all seem to have no clue. Strong unions led to a thriving middle class after World War II. We have increased income inequality since Reagan came in and worked to weaken unions. Corporations treat their employees like crap. Do they? Wage theft by employers is estimated to be over $50 billion per year.
I bet there's a study that backs that.
Worker productivity increased while wages remain stagnant. You seem to be living in some libertarian fairy tale that exists only in your head. We've discussed the union thing multiple times. I'm not even going to dive into it now. I've fucking defended unions before. Get out of my face. Breaking Points is a great show. I love people talking about how we're living in a fantasy world and you just watched one 10-minute video and are making these huge generalized comments about something that we've been doing for fucking years now.
Oh yeah.
So you've watched one thing that, again, isn't even what we do. This is a segment on our show that we did because we have a personal vendetta with Breaking Points.
Yes.
And this is now the whole... It's excellent. He had a point in the 60s. 100%. That's what I'm telling you now.
Yep.
It's hilarious. It's absolutely hilarious because I think in this video is when I was talking about, like, they're acting like these unions are in the fucking Virginia coal mines where there are machine gunners literally shooting down people who are trying to stay alive and just make reasonable wages. This is not the same thing.
Coal towns
Yes.
trying to escape
Well,
those. I mean,
while defending the AC units and the trucks, I also said, but this is not the same thing that where these were made. And that's how they're acting, is that this is the same thing. And they're not even a little bit.
No.
It's not even a little bit. Do you want to talk about for a moment how unions did help save those people's lives? Because they did. That is a reality. They did in fact help those people make more money and help liberate them from the corporations.
Oh, yeah.
From the corrupt companies and fucking warlords that were ruling over their land.
That's right.
Yes, you are correct about that. Do you need a union now to have a livable wage and a good job? You don't.
No.
You honestly don't. I guarantee that you don't.
I would make the argument that the existence of most of these unions today actually help prevent you from doing that unless you decide to go with the mob mentality and have to join them. Otherwise, if you're trying to participate against a union in the private sector, you're going to lose out every single time by not a little bit. They keep the rest of us that much poorer because they have secured through government contracts wages that are 3 to 5 times more than anybody in the private sector can afford. And if they weren't absorbing that sector of the labor department, I think I made an argument about this in my piece this month, that money would be spread around the community way more because they'd have access to the jobs that they don't have access to. And then all the overpaid salaries that get dumped into just the union members will get spread around to all the private sector people, raising the standing of the overall middle class.
Yes. Are we gonna sit here and defend every fucking corporation? No, they're corrupt and also hate you, just like the government does.
Indeed.
They're no different, especially with the level of entanglement that encapsulates the two bodies. They're effectively no different at this point in time. A large corporation and the federal government. They're effectively no different.
Yep.
So
Again, read the piece I wrote this month because I talked all about that. It was fantastic.
These people are great. This came from my feed. LMAO, you guys are literally just hating and arbitrarily nitpicking for experience or word choices. Good luck building subscribers on undeserved negativity. That's because they're ideological clowns.
It's like, again, tell me you haven't actually watched our
Hey!
show without watching the show.
Look at this.
This is an old one.
Yes.
This is from
This is the guy. This guy roasted us, and I was like, hey, we have tons of other shit. I hope that you enjoy it. Okay, so I haven't even read this one yet. Okay, this is more what I was looking for. Great conversation. On the Cronkite point, I'd say that with so many alternative forms of getting information versus the few ways people had access to information back then, I would have to watch that segment again. That was a while ago.
It was so long ago.
People have much more opportunities to either correctly or even falsely question the narrative. Facts can be interpreted in any specific matter depending on how you spin it. I completely agree with all of you that objective journalism does not exist. There's only the journalism that discloses its bias and the journalism that does not. With that said, I think I have to disagree with Breaking Points does not attempt to bridge that gap between giving news but allowing genuinely different points of view interact on the subject. I think I have to disagree that Breaking Points disagrees that Breaking Points does not attempt to bridge the gap between giving news but allowing
Yeah.
genuinely different views. Okay.
And I will say too, like back when they first went back out on their own,
Yes.
after leaving the Hill, I would argue that they did a much better job at that, and they've just crawled their way closer and closer to fucking corporate press status as the years have gone by since they went independent.
And maybe now that they're bringing the panels back, like that will change
That
because
might,
they do in fact bring on people that don't agree with them.
Yeah.
That is a fact. They will bring on one person from the left and one person from the right. Their right could be fucking Emily Jashinsky, so it's not really very conservative. Like it depends on what the subject is, but
ideally, it'll be different than their
yes,
standard talking points.
The issue at that point is that Crystal and Sagar, their opinions that they put out on the show don't vary enough, in my opinion, to carry genuine, like, conflicting conversation. Because the times in which they do argue, she will shout him down and he will capitulate.
Yes,
that's not
every single
that's
time.
not effective. So I agree to an extent. Kevin De Silva, thank you. Will you heart that and tell him that we talked about this on the show and we appreciate him watching.
Okay.
And then he said, I don't see Breaking Points getting a more professional studio or any of those analogs to mainstream news as being them trying to fully incarnate them. I think it is all an attempt to bring the visual stimuli that someone expects and naturally lends confidence to, but inject that nostalgic scenario with people who are not trying to hide a narrative. Everyone has a narrative to tie the loose knots of info in their heads, but some people try to pretend like they don't have one and gaslight you into thinking they're objective. So I understand what you're saying. The reason that I disagree is when you look at shows that don't have a studio like this, which is so many other news shows. Timcast is a great fucking example. That's not even close to the studio of like this classic corporate studio they're talking about. They still have tens of thousands of people that watch them and rely on them for valuable and factual information every single day of the week. That's a reality. Fucking Joe Rogan is the same deal. Joe Rogan is a traditional podcast studio with brick walls similar to what they had before they changed.
Yep.
That's not the same thing anymore. People still watch Joe Rogan, and like part of this is figures, but that's what doing podcast and YouTube shows is that people trust who you are.
Yes.
That's
You don't need the backdrops. You don't need
No.
the setups. Some of the most successful, like smaller time, not even like small time, but like they talk about like, you know, the current events of the day. A lot of them are just a dude with a webcam looking at their semi-messy room behind them, and they still have millions of views and followers. Like the setup doesn't really matter. It speaks more to you as an individual and kind of like what your comfort zone is. Or, and I think Breaking Point's case, it's to portray a like an environment that you want to portray. Like, I'm using the wrong words here, but like if you're going to build your studio to look like a corporate press studio, you're trying to convey to your viewers or your listeners that like we are as professional as the corporate press because this is
Right.
what we've built behind us. If it's more about what you're actually talking about and the thoughts and ideas and the actual conversations being had, it doesn't really matter what's behind you. It's what actually matters is what comes out of your mouth and how you handle the conversation as they come along. And if you're being authentic, if you're being honest, that's what actually matters in the podcast sphere. If you're trying to make a corporate news show, you need to look and act like a corporate news show.
precisely,
You know?
and that's why they're talking about they want to replace corporate media. They're saying that in the endings of their videos. They're trying
Yes.
to replace the corrupt like mainstream media. That is what they're doing. They are trying to fully incarnate them. Like they're telling you that in the end of their videos. They're trying to take their place.
We're just going to do better at it.
And with the variation that I've seen in them just since they started Breaking Points, I don't trust that they will forever stay away from that corporate influence, the party influence, whatever influence it is that's going to take hold of them. I don't believe that. I think that there's a huge possibility that Crystal Ball gets fucking closer in with some political party, and I mean that's a very specific accusation. I'm not trying to be a dick about it, but I just don't trust that separation from big money ties will stay forever.
Once you grow, if this is your lane that you're going to be in, at some point, you're going to have to get some kind of big backing. You're going to have to. You could stay on YouTube and generally keep your costs down at that point. But if you're doing the old school mic people and camera people and producers and editors and all the things behind the scenes, especially if they're all former industry people, there's going to come a day when they're going to get fucking Young Turk styled, and all your people are going to want to unionize.
Yes.
And you are not going to be able to say no to that because of the platform that you've built for yourself. And then you're going to be fucked. Just like TYT is. When all them people tried to unionize and all of a sudden they all were like, well, we're going to lose everything now. This is what happens. That's the
Right.
reality of your situation. And you will only be able to grow to a certain point without having to like make a leap outside. If you want to stay in the YouTube lane, it's going to be real hard to maintain like this corporate look for a certain period of time. And then at some point you're going to have to outgrow it, and then you're just kind of one of the normies. Then you would have ostensibly replaced the corporate media at that point, but not really. You're just adding to it.
And
you
I
become the same, just slightly different.
Right. The only real thing I think that separates them is like their willingness to cover, and this is a point that some of these other people made, some of these other weirder stories, and not necessarily stuff just the corporate media won't talk about, because the entire of corporate media is corrupt. So there's going to be whole things they try and shut down. The Hunter Biden thing for a long time that I guess I'll give you credit for that, but the only real difference is like the aliens and stuff. Like, it's not there. I don't know. I don't
Like the
see
aliens and
that much
stuff.
of a difference between their shows anymore, between
No.
these shows and corporate media shows, except
Maybe their segments are a little longer because they don't
Yeah.
have to go every 10 minutes to commercial break. They
yes,
just
they are not bought out. Okay, so here's the differences, right? Because I want to be really specific about it, because I appreciate what this dude is saying.
Mm-hmm.
The differences are they are not bought out by different corporate institutions, so they aren't going to shill for those institutions, but the stories that they're covering and the takes that they're giving are not different. That's the point, right?
Yeah.
That's great that they're still doing it by themselves. Obviously, that's a huge thing. They're not influenced heavily by those corporations.
Yeah.
They're still influenced heavily by their bias while still trying to claim to be objective and not being honest about that, and letting that influence the way they're covering things, the way they're interviewing people. Her shit with RFK is a great example of that. The way that she shilled out for the entirety of, I don't even know, just shit on him the entire time.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? That whole interview.
that was rough. That was rough business.
These things are not different. The stories they're covering, the way that they're covering them, are not different than corporate media. And
No.
that, I think, is what matters. Their studio, to me, doesn't matter.
No.
What they look like doesn't matter. That's why the Tim Pool videos where it was just him in the corner and you couldn't see anything behind him, those are the best ones. I don't care
they're
what
great.
room you're in. I don't care. It doesn't matter to me. I care that it's your face that's telling me this thing, because I know that you're not going to lie to me.
Yes.
These people, as we just outlined in this show, have already provided you information that can't be verified. This is, again, just one example, but it only took me one time to try. One time. I don't know how more often they're doing this. I don't watch the show all the time. I'm just diving back in because I think that it's the right thing to do. I don't know how often it's happening. I can tell you the one time that I tried, that's what happened. They gave information in 2 different pieces that couldn't be verified, that came from another news source that also didn't verify the information and didn't provide sources. That's what I'm telling you. And I think that matters more than what their studio looks like, or that they're just subscriber funded. Like, that matters. If you're lying, but you only have subscriber funding, I don't care, because you're still fucking lying. You're still
yeah.
doing the same thing corporate media is
There's
doing.
plenty of other outlets that are listener or subscriber funded and just spew lies. There's
Young Turks.
tons of people do that. Oh yeah, yeah. Timcast had recently on this gal from what's the name of the show? Oh, I don't remember anymore. But it's some far left show with Sam Cedar as well, and all they do is spew lies like that too, and they get YouTube revenue and they get subscriber revenue. And then she showed up to the Culture War podcast, which is a debate show, and got a fucking train ran on her, and it was not pleasant to watch.
Yeah.
And you know, it versus like when they had Destiny on, the big streamer, a very, very different type of. I mean, that's an honest debate at that point. It's very, very different. But a lot of these people make a living lying to their subscribers, or just using specific talking points to gather up the masses and make money off of them that way. None of them are really that honest about what they're doing.
And that's the difference between, I'll state it right now, that's the difference between us and Breaking Points is I trust my ability to go onto any platform that will have me, yours as well, to go onto any platform that will have us and defend whatever opinion it is that they want to question us on, defend whatever stance it is, and make a logical, evidence-based opinion about that. I don't trust the ability for both hosts on Breaking Points to do that. I don't.
Yeah.
I think that it would turn very ideological and repetitive, as we have seen in the past. I don't.
I think it would be really interesting. I would love to see a more old school style, more where Sauger has more conservative points that he puts up against Crystal Balls, and the two of them have like a little back and forth. And if they were both honest about it, which Crystal generally isn't, then that would be a way better show at that point. But if the content, with an arbitrary deadline of like they only have an hour to do the show or whatever it is, and we have to
Right.
move on to the next point. No, you don't, man. You don't. You do because this is the way you've structured your show at this point. You're renting out the studio space or whatever it is, so you don't have unlimited amount of time to be able to actually give full-throated defenses or arguments against certain points and certain issues of the day. You just have to do it in 15, 20 minutes and then move on as quick as possible because we have 5 other stories we have to get to today within the hour and a half show that we do. That's no way to be able to try to push points out. If you have a super long argument about something, you need to be able to encapsulate that and have that entire conversation out in its entirety. Otherwise, you're doing the argument a disservice, the issue a disservice, your audience a disservice, and yourselves, because you're not able to express everything you need to in a coherent fashion enough over a certain period of time. Drives me nuts. Deborah, you got a link for us.
You can tweet it to us.
Yeah, tweet it to us. Send it to my DMs or something like that, and we'll get into it. Yeah, grandfather understand the knowledge of Teamsters. I'm into it. I got to expand my knowledge on this Teamsters business, bro. But yeah,
shit all over them.
No, I don't know. Maybe we'll see how it goes.
Just the word Teamsters.
Yeah, just the word Teamsters.
It's not real anymore.
It makes sense now. I'm like, oh, now I get where that came from. They all used to drive horse and buggies.
Yeah.
Very cool. We're
we'll
closing
call
in.
this.
I think we could do that.
Yeah, no, we'll call this. We got a lot of these,
It was endless. It was fantastic.
and I'm here for it. Keep them coming. This is what you got. This isn't for you.
Let's go.
But we only had the one comment, the one that we just addressed, that was any type of genuine at all.
Yeah, solid. Shout out to
which
Homie.
is typical for the internet. So
That's the way it goes. You might get 1 of 1,000.
Yes.
That's why they always say, don't read the comments. Well, I'm here for it. At this point, we need the comments. At a certain point, you outgrow the comments.
Yeah.
We're in Commentville these days.
So there's one thing I want to talk to you about.
Can
but we could talk about it in the beginning of part 2. It doesn't matter.
Okay.
Yeah.
All this stuff is just kind of nonsense. We got an actual Republican in the race for the governorship of Washington, which
Really?
is going to be interesting. I just started to look into him. His name is Derek
Holy shit.
Reichert,
I know who this guy is, I'm pretty sure.
the former sheriff of King County.
Yes. Okay. This guy,
Nice.
I'm pretty sure. Look at a picture of him really quick so that I know that it's the right dude. Because I'm pretty certain that I know who he is. Because he used
You
to
know what,
be.
let me go to the actual.
Yes.
original
Oh my
tweet.
God. Yes. Oh my God. Yes. Okay. So
Oh,
my
yeah.
God. Okay.
There it is.
So, whoo, whoo, this guy's lit. He had good shit from what I remember when he was in office, right? Because he was a representative for a while for Washington,
Mm-hmm.
and when he was sheriff, maybe when he was done being sheriff. Nope, when he was sheriff,
Yep.
he interviewed Ted Bundy.
Oh.
To gain insight into the Green River killing so that he could catch Garrett Ridgway.
Best known for solving the Green River killings. He headed up the investigation team to arrest and convict Gary Ridgway.
Yes.
Very
He
nice.
He interviewed Ted Bundy.
Yeah, he's getting into the race along with a bunch of other people.
Seen a couple documentary that this dude was in, like
Nice.
about Ted Bundy and shit, about serial killings. That I saw him, and then I saw him in Congress, and I was like, oh, holy fucking shit! I was like, that's the same fucking guy. That blew my mind. The first time I blew my mind. Yes.
That's so funny.
So there you go. I have small stories, but
And we've got a new guy that I've been interested in now. He's saying some interesting things. His name is Bird, Semi Bird.
that's his
And-
name.
Yeah, Semi. And it's just the greatest branding of all time when your last name is literally Bird, like B-I-R-D.
Yeah.
And so I wanted to show you his announcement video a little bit.
Before we do, because I might like him, it makes me think of Matt and Shane's because they call penises birds. Semi bird. That's hilarious.
I got the Semi Bird going on.
We have to if we have to inform them that this is happening so that they can discuss
Oh
it
my God.
because that's too good.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
We've got a Semi bird over here, dude.
Yeah, we'll hit up Matt in the
Yes.
because Shane's too big for his britches these
Yeah,
days.
that's right.
He's out there competing at the beer Olympics and shit. Which I have a video for the grab bag later to show you exactly what he was getting into,
Oh,
so
God.
to see why we didn't get our usual Matt and Shane show the other day.
Those episodes
But
were great though.
I will say, they were fucking Matt was on fire, dude.
Yes.
I never seen him in that kind of element. Well, I did watch Shane's old stand-up special, right? The one I think that was from Creek in the Cave or something like that in Austin.
I was watching that today before I left.
It's
That's
so good.
Funny.
It's so good. I had to watch it again last night because I
It's so
needed
funny.
inspiration. But I didn't realize that when Shane walks off stuff, you could tell Matt
Yes.
he's like hosting it for him. I was like,
Yes.
oh fuck, that's Matt. I know him now. There it
Yes.
is. And I saw a bunch of other clip. I found a sweet like compilation clip of just Shane being funny. And more than half the time, it's like Matt's walking off the stage right before Shane comes on. I'm like, the bros, dude. The
like
boys
that.
are in business. So you had something else you want to do before this or no?
No.
Okay, so let's just watch a little bit
No,
of this.
Semi bird. That's all I was gonna say.
It's awesome.
Just Semi bird.
It's awesome.
I like his name though.
Hell yeah.
All right, see what he has to say.
Hello, Washington. I'm Semi Bird, and I'm running for governor. I've spent most of my life in service
vet.
to our nation
No shit.
as a United States Marine and Army Special Forces Green Beret. I now find myself on the front lines of some of the greatest challenges facing our state.
Yeet.
As someone who began his life's journey in the inner city ghetto of East Oakland, California,
hard.
born to a single mom with 7 children, pre-civil rights, I know firsthand that the American dream is available for everyone.
That's right.
Let's
Through
go.
I like that.
And
Who's that?
Not
Oh
hate
god.
Is that Joe Kennedy? Is that Joe Kennedy?
and despair. I continue to serve the children and families of our community as a school board director and legislative representative. I do so because I know our children are our future,
He's big into
and that
education.
families and parents are the most important stakeholders in their children's upbringing, and that includes their education.
He's using the right words too, stakeholders and stuff like that, to try to
Yeah.
get some of those more progressive people.
Here in Washington state, crime and inflation are at an all-time high, while educational outcomes are at an all-time low.
And
how is our
spending
current
also,
state
because I actually looked into this week, educational spending is at an all-time high.
Oh, yeah.
Because I looked into it because the capital gains tax that passed last year made like hundreds of millions more than they
Oh,
expected
bro.
it to.
So
and they're like-
much.
and it all goes to education. Like, wait,
What?
we're still spending a dickload on education. The quality is still going down, and I'm still getting charged more in taxes every single year.
Yeah, baby.
What's happening here?
Yeah, it's good shit.
Yeah.
leadership responding to these concerns by using our state revenues to increase spending, all
There it
the
is.
while imposing more taxes on our families who are struggling to make ends meet.
Just like you said.
Well,
by
God damn
bringing
it.
forth bad policies which hamstring our law enforcement professionals and exposes our communities to greater dangers and greater threats.
So
by
good.
bringing forth racially divisive policies and isolating us from our children's education. Isn't it time to replace career politicians with career Americans?
Yeet.
My fellow
That's a little sloppy,
Washingtonians, it is time for visionary leadership. It is time for a new direction. Join me, Republicans, Democrats, Independents alike. Let's stand together and focus on what we can all agree upon: safe communities, quality in education, and economic opportunity for all. Together, we will bring unity, leadership, and solutions with action to Washington State. My name is Semi Bird, and I'm running for governor for all of
He's
Washington.
got the Obama
Let's
hand.
go.
Remember, united we stand, together we can.
Good
Like
shit, this guy.
He's got the Obama hand, like the semi-closed fist. you
Yeah.
know?
It's very important.
He's gonna do better. What was the name of the guy that ran last time? The sheriff.
Oh, fucking.
You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's gonna do better than
That
that
guy.
guy. He's
Oh,
gonna do way better than that guy.
Larry Kemp? Kemp?
Yeah.
Joe Kemp? Larry Kemp? Something like that.
Kemp. Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, I clicked on his little platform.
No,
here.
Joe Ken. That's Joe Kennedy, right?
Joe,
Is that-
yeah. Joe Kennedy, Joe Kent.
Doesn't
and then,
matter.
Yeah. Lauren Culp.
There you go.
The Lauren.
Lauren Culp. He's gonna do better than Lauren Culp for sure.
Yeah.
If only people in this state didn't love getting butt fucked by Bob Ferguson so much, because
Exactly.
they just happen to really, really enjoy it.
They
But-
really enjoy it. One of his little terms that I really like in his platform is the meritocracy initiative. So this is like putting an end to like CRT type stuff,
Nice.
you know, DEI type stuff, and it's just he wants to bring back like merit based choices in all things. And I'm a huge fucking fan of that. It is like the antithesis of everything Jay Inslee and Bob Ferguson stand for. And just started looking into him. He's done a bunch of Fox News hits, so you know he's soaking up that kind of crowd. And I'm excited to look more into this guy.
Let's go.
He piques my interest.
I like it. So
Yeet.
I have small things I want to talk about. One thing we got to talk about in the future that Trenton sent to me. There's. I'm trying really to get into it. Heard about some laced vape cartridges, and so there were some
Oh.
kids. I remember one school that died. They overdosed because they had some vape cartridges that were laced with fentanyl. So I looked into that story, but I found like fucking 5 other stories
Oh,
that
boy.
apparently this is like a huge thing that's happening. That kids are buying shit from other kids in school, and the cartridges have been refilled or whatever.
Yeah, because
And they
kids
have-
can't buy.
Right.
They can't go to the legal shop where
Right.
everything's been tested and blah 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 blah, and so they're just buying things off other people that are definitely getting them from the streets.
Yes. So one of these kids was addicted to heroin.
Oh,
That was inside of
fuck.
like his nicotine vapes. Yes. And then the other kids, yeah. So they said vape carts, but I don't know if they're cartridges or they're like jewel pod things or like
Yeah.
what, you know what the deal is. Some form of vaping device
Mm-hmm.
that children are getting their hands on that have been tainted with other drugs. And it's not. I thought this was the one, like just one case, but there's multiple just in this state, and I guess it's much bigger on the East Coast and in the South.
Oh,
and
shit.
it's just kind of starting to trickle over here.
Great.
There is this is the one we have to look into in the future because it's worth kind of a deeper dive, I think. There's a bill that's been introduced out of the Senate that would establish a state domestic violent extremism board. And they use the guidelines that Bob Ferguson has laid out for domestic violent extremism, and so the powers that it would give this particular board is pretty dark. Trenton sent it to me, but he sent me a screenshot that he saw online that was from. Oh, I actually have I found the article that it was from, and it is from the Washington Policy Organization, and it's SHB 1333. And so this, like, their thing was a write-up they did, so it's like SHB 133 to criminalize free speech and independent thought in Washington State. Okay, so
A little hyperbolic.
like I understand what you're saying, but that's not what this does. Like so he was like, is this really a thing? And I was like, I have to look into it, but by the name of that, I almost guarantee that it's not.
Yeah.
And that's not the name of the bill, but but it does do some dark shit, and it's pretty easy to see how it could turn even worse in the future.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, we're real good at that here. If Bob Ferguson can find a way to clamp down on people's liberties, he's going to find a way to do it.
Yes.
That's just what he's all about.
The surplus money from the capital gains tax, which I just talked about. And then the other thing I want to ask you about in part 2, because it's a longer
Okay.
deal.
Word.
So
Real quick note, right before we close out,
Yes.
we officially have the highest gas prices in the country now. Thank you, Jay Inslee.
I paid $4.55 at Costco yesterday.
$4.55 is below the state average, so congratulations.
Yeah, it's
Our
great.
state average now for standard unleaded is $4.98.4, which replaces
California,
California's,
probably. Just so
finally.
you guys know, we've covered this in the past, and we could talk about it again in the future. They've literally said the goal is to continue to raise gas prices until people are priced out of being able to drive gas-fueled cars and have to drive electric vehicles. They've literally said that's the point. Unless you don't have any money, then they'll subsidize you. They'll give you money and relief from these taxes so that you can drive a gas car because you can't afford it. But if you're anything other than in poverty, you will be literally taxed out of their attempt is to price you out of being able to drive a car until you have to drive an electric vehicle.
And then you can't afford to get the electric vehicle because you've already gone broke just trying to drive to work every day.
Also, the subsidies for the electric vehicles happen to cap out the same year that these taxes hit the highest level.
Oh,
Isn't that interesting? So if you didn't get in before it was, it's too late now.
you son of a bitch, Will Wallace. That's like one of the greatest things in the world.
Don't come in here and fucking brag, Will.
That's what I'm doing the 22nd. That's what I'm doing the 22nd bachelor party.
Okay.
That's what it was.
In the evening then.
Indeed.
All right, well, then it shouldn't be a problem.
Oh yeah, because I'll already be halfway there at that point. Because I'll have to drive down that direction anyways before I go over to the thing.
There you go. I don't know where the thing is, but if you say, then I trust you. So
It's where it needs to be.
it's where it needs to be.
I think it's in Bellevue.
Oh, that might be the name of the episode this week. That was really good.
There it is.
Yeah, that one's going. It's up here. I've started to write them down.
It's where it needs to be.
It's where
the people are.
That's right.
It's where the people live.
That was so sad. I told someone else about that. I don't remember who it was, but they did not think that it was very funny. They just were like, "That's really sad," and I was like, "I don't. I know that. That's part of
That's
the
why
point.
it's funny.
Yeah, that's. Oh, it was someone. It was one of Jordan's dad's friends, and he's like a military guy, and he just didn't think that it was very funny. You know?
look at
He's
that.
also from an even smaller town in Wyoming than we live in, so he's like, he just didn't get it. You know, I'm like. The point is that I've never been anywhere and I need to get out of this town. That's the whole point. Well, that's why I don't live in my town anymore. Yeah, I fucking, you enlisted. I got it. I get it. I get it, dude. He did not think it was funny. So, just sitting there laughing.
Jokes
at
on
my own
him because
jokes,
that shit's
but-
funny. There it is. That's funny.
Okay, so
yes.
with that, everybody will be back in just a few minutes for part 2 of Salt of the Streets, episode 151. Thank you again, Zeke, executive producer for this segment. All segments here afterwards. You guys, if you want to become an executive producer, you can go to our Patreon, patreon.com/Salt of the Streets, and subscribe there. $5 gets you the article. I don't even want to say it. The top tier gets you the executive producer. I feel
Top
weird
tier.
for people giving us money like that.
Yeah, that's weird.
The top tier gets you executive producer role. There's other things like that. Of course, if there are things you want to see, like we said last time, if you're on the Patreon, there's some things that you want, other rewards, things that would make you feel better or make you go to a higher tier. Tell us that. We will happy to look at them and implement them. So there's saltofthestreets.com for all of this information. You can also find our own personal social media. I am at Salt of the Street on Twitter and at alpaca_Donovan on Instagram. And Colin is at Big Bird Offie on both of those things. We will see you in just a few minutes for part 2. Thank you guys.
Bye.
Welcome to the salt of the streets, coming at you every week with this food for thought. Hope you ready to eat.